Welcome to Woodbury High School, where we proudly present another edition of high school girls basketball. It's holiday break for the Woodbury Royals, but they're going to heat things up and hope to give themselves the gift of another victory as they host the Mahtomedi Zephyrs. Woodbury coming in at 2-1, Mahtomedi, the number 3 team in Class 3A, at 4-0. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Peden, joined by Don Ackerman. And Don, you had a chance to review the matchup going into this game. Not a lot is known about these two teams in terms of series history, but both have some strong players and could be sleeper teams in their respective classes.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because obviously they're both in Washington County, but yet they don't face each other often.
That's because they're in separate conferences, Woodbury in Suburban East, Mahtomedi in the Metro East. Woodbury off to a great start. They're coming off a loss to Forest Lake, but they made an early statement with a 3-point victory over a top 10 school in Apple Valley. And CC Keeger, the player to watch, he's averaging over 20 a game.
And I'm hoping this game follows up the JV game we just watched, which went to overtime. It's a great back and forth matchup with some competitive play. I'm hoping to see that happen again in the second game of, well, my doubleheader.
And at Mahtomedi's end, Emma Grothaus, the Lehigh commit, having a phenomenal start to her season. Dealt with some injuries last year, bounced back from that. And this Mahtomedi team, under the first year of Eric Rose, is ready to make a run at some of the top dogs in 3A.
I agree.
No further words necessary, folks.
Mike's got it all covered.
We'll have the starting lineups in a moment. You're watching high school girls basketball. Don, I've often wondered how much of our lifetime has been spent listening to the Star Spangled Banner.
From my point of view, not enough. I actually enjoy the song every single time.
This game starting about 45 minutes later than scheduled. The JV game went to overtime, so that added an extra 4 minutes to that contest. And prior to tonight's tip-off, with this being one of the early home games for the Woodbury Royals, this was designated as Parent Night. We'll show you some footage of that at halftime. So with our luck, we'll have triple overtime.
Yeah, very cool to have the parents recognized, and looks like we have the youth basketball program participating with Woodbury, which is also great to see.
And an interesting twist to the starting lineup with the Woodbury starters going through the line of kids, then coming back out. As you'll see in Mahtomedi's case, it's your standard come from the bench, go through the tunnel, make your way to the bench. If you're Woodbury, this doesn't happen often.
No, it's great. And of course, there's a souvenir for the fans that show up here.
There's some representation out here. Maybe not as much as there would be during a normal school day, as we noted, Woodbury on holiday break. But these Royals will face a lot of tests, even with these 2-week layover. They get Mahtomedi tonight. They'll have about a week off, and then they'll start a 3-day tournament at Roseville. And that 8-team bracket features the Royals, the Roseville Raiders, both in the Suburban East Conference, and Centennials. So some pretty high caliber competition that will take place over there.
Yeah, Christmas gift to all basketball fans.
One of many holiday tournaments taking place next week. And that tournament is representative of the schedule that Megan Kirchenwitz installed for this season. She wanted to face some higher caliber opponents to find out what this team was made of. We noted Apple Valley, Mahtomedi tonight, the Roseville tournament. On January 14th, they'll go to Hopkins to play Park Center as part of the Super 60 Showcase event. And then they'll get Hopkins at Hopkins on February 18th for the inaugural Community Clash, also hosted by the Breakdown. Let's take a look at the starting 5 for the visiting Mahtomedi Zephyrs. It's Annika Sogstad, number 10, the junior forward. Marissa Gustafson, number 21, the senior guard. Maggie Frecking, senior guard, number 25. Emma Grothaus, the junior forward, number 35. And Samantha Hogan, the senior forward, number 41. Woodbury will start. Can Beanbas, the senior guard, number 2. Elizabeth Jordahl, the senior guard, number 11. Rachel Hakes, the junior guard, number 12. Cece Keeger, the senior guard, number 21. And Ellie Krybeck, the senior forward, number 23.
Thanks so much, Commentators, for sponsoring today's game and our rosters.
And if you're a longtime Woodbury fan or a longtime fan of high school athletics in general, you may recall that Woodbury does have a state tournament in girls basketball encased in their trophy display, winning it in 2003 under head coach Dave Preller. He now runs the Minnesota AAU organization. Mahtomedi wearing the white, Woodbury wearing the black. Mike Peden and Don Ackerman here as we bring you high school basketball from the East Metro. First possession belongs to Mahtomedi. There's Grothaus. She had 31 points in the win over Maranatha Christian Academy back on December 8th. And she put up some gaudy numbers to start the season, but a traveling violation, and Mahtomedi turns it over. The top scorers for both teams actually almost dead even. Grothaus averaging 22.8, Keeger averaging 22.7. Spin move, and the aforementioned Ellie Krybeck, number 23. Well, she was aforementioned. We mentioned her in the starting lineups, but she's going to the line for 2. The foul will be charged to Hogan.
Strong move to the hoop there. If you let her catch the ball that low, it's definitely going to turn into 2 points, or at least in this case, foul shots.
Krybeck averaging just over 5 a game. Considered one of the scrappy players by the Woodbury coaching staff. Doesn't put up a lot of numbers, but exceeds in the intangibles. And we've got a foul on Rachel Hakes, number 12.
So we have 2 fouls on the opening possession. I wonder if that'll be effective.
Mahtomedi looking for the entry feed. Bounce pass almost broken up, but they hang on to it. Here's Grothaus. There's verbal to Lehigh, and she'll join a few other Minnesota prodigies. We'll get to that as the broadcast continues. Grothaus was hacked on the drive, and that foul will be assessed to Cece Keeger. If you're wondering, her full name is Cecile, but she prefers Cece, so that's what we'll use. No, they charged the foul instead to Jordahl. Mahtomedi's last game was a week ago, a 41-point win over North Branch. Push-off, no basket for Saugstad. Grothaus. We have a push foul called on Mahtomedi. And it's charged to Grothaus. Mahtomedi was scheduled to play Somerset, Wisconsin this past Friday. That game was postponed due to the snowstorm and weekend cold snap. Started their season with a pair of victories over Wisconsin teams, River Falls and Hudson. Nice drive to the hoop, but Keeger can't come up with it. A foul on the rebound, though. And that's going to send Krybick back to the line. Krybick and Jordahl are the lunchbox workers, metaphorically speaking. They can get the rebounds, loose balls, outlet passes. Little stuff that you don't always see or jot down on stat sheets.
Two very skilled players.
And that's the important thing. Krybick has all 3 points in this game so far. That will undoubtedly change. Nagy Frecking over to Gustafson. Saugstad and Gustafson play a supporting role in the offense. They throw it away on that possession, though.
Yeah, the player who was originally in that position cut through, and so there was no one there to receive that pass.
That's usually how passing works.
I love good player movement, so that wouldn't bother me.
C.C. Keeger with our first field goal. It's a 3-pointer. Saugstad bounces over. Long 2 is strong from Samantha Hogan. And it's picked up by Rachel Eggs. Pass deflected. Woodbury, an experienced bunch, 4 seniors and 3 juniors. All of them have been with this program since 8th or 9th grade. There aren't any college commitments yet, but the seniors do have several offers awaiting them. Keeger can't hit the 3-pointer that time, and Mahtomedi will let it bounce out of bounds for a dead ball rebound. Mahtomedi in their first season under head coach Eric Brose, who is familiar with teams like Woodbury and the Suburban East. He was an assistant at Park of Cottage Grove before taking the Mahtomedi job. And he was really excited to find out that he was getting this position. He and his family live in Mahtomedi, only a mile away from the school's campus. Grothaus drives, nothing called, so it's a deuce. That's the first basket for the Zephyrs. Higgs. That's a Krybick. Now over to Keeger. I'm going to get that name by the end of this.
She picked up her dribble. I don't know why she did that. Nice pass.
And Ellie Krybick with her first field goal. 8-2 our score in favor of the Woodbury Royals. Grothaus to Saugstad. Baseline pass, 3 on the way. Doesn't hit the mark, and Mahtomedi can't corral the rebound.
That was good ball movement on that last possession. I'm waiting to see Mameidi develop something. It seems like they haven't quite found their footing yet, and the score is showing that.
But we have a lot of time to go in this one. Some new players coming in for both teams. And that's going to be a foul assessed to Josie Underwood, number 11 of the Mahtomedi Zephyrs.
There's been a lot of fouls called, so I wouldn't be surprised if that continues, so that players can be protected.
Number 44 for the Woodbury Royals, if you're curious, is Solape Amusen, but she goes by Solo, as in Han Solo, who did not make an appearance in Rogue One. Spoiler alert. Keeger for three. Off the heel. Rebound Grothaus. Mahtomedi looking to run. Sogstad one-on-one. Stops, pops, can't bank it. Grothaus, yes.
Great job collecting that fast break point. Bucket.
Eric Pro says Grothaus spent the summer improving her strength, hitting the weight room frequently. And she demonstrated that strength on the last possession. Goes for the steal, and Sogstad will be hit with a foul. Beanboss and Krybeck return to the floor for the Royals. Jordahl draws the foul and will shoot two.
Strong defense by Mahtomedi.
Woodbury faced a little bit of tension coming into this game, in the sense that they weren't sure if their head coach would be able to attend. Megan Kirchenwitz in her third year leading the Royals, but she has a 2-year-old daughter who fell ill, and the coaching staff wasn't sure she'd be able to get here in time as Jordahl splits. But she is here to lead this team, and as the parent of a few kids yourself, I'm sure you understand that when one of them falls ill, they take precedent.
Absolutely. But I'm sure she cares about this team a very close second. Oh, that was a nice find. Nice idea.
Beanboss with the steal. Keeger wanted the three. She'll kick out to Beanboss. She can't hit one off the screen. But reaching in for the rebound was Jordahl. She came up short, though. But where did she come from to scoop it? Showing some agility there.
Showing some quickness as well.
Mahtomedi looking to discover some offensive flow. They trail 9-4. Still a lot of time left, but a bevy of empty possessions. And Eric Prost is going to call timeout to get his Mahtomedi players out of a jam. Emma Grothaus having a discussion with the official, perhaps wondering why a foul wasn't called, but Zephyrs maintain possession with 11:19 left in the first half.
Yeah, Coach could talk about getting a flow here and getting something figured out.
Now in this atmosphere, in this venue, Annika Sogstad and Emma Grothaus are teammates. Don and I have seen them when they're opponents. Specifically in AAU, they took part in the AAU State Championship back in May with Emma Grothaus and her North Tartan team defeating the 43 Hoops Car in the 11th grade championship game. It was a match that Sogstad was a little bitter about.
Well, it was a good matchup and a good game, and they didn't seem to play too adversarial.
They got over it pretty quickly. Sogstad With a short skip to number 32, Eve Farrell. Mahtomedi throws it away. As we noted back in May, and we'll bring this up again, the fun side plot with AAU basketball is seeing teammates on the high school circuit go against each other in a competitive setting. Jordahl sees a lane and makes the most of it.
That was a great decision after not seeing any teammates open or a good pass.
Jordahl averaging 5.6 points per game. And she gives the Royals a 7-point lead.
I think if we see some drives by both teams to the hoops, the defenses will have to adjust. Right now they're protecting for the pass, and you can kind of see that happening. We don't really see anyone driving to the hoop too successfully.
But all it takes is a couple of possessions for Mahtomedi to get going.
Yes.
So a 7-point lead is not safe yet.
Nice
Farrell
passing.
goes up, comes up short. Grothaus, her second putback of the game. And if you're wondering, she had a lot of those plays in the win over Maranatha. Mahtomedi getting a stop there. And with Grothaus at 6'3", she's going to win a lot of battles down low.
And Mahtomedi is trying to set up the post play here, but it's being too well defended right now by Woodbury.
I imagine Grothaus was the centerpiece of their defensive scheme going into this matchup.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
She's their top scorer, top rebounder. Traveling violation on Maggie Frecking. 9:03 left, 11-6 our score. And Nam Hussein will return. As will number 22, Marin Blodgett.
We were watching Blodgett during warm-ups, and she was just stroking the three, so it'll be interesting to see if that's what she comes in to do right now.
Sometimes how you practice leads into how you play. Keeger fakes the three. Blodgett fakes one. Woodbury with a couple of pump fakes. And patiently biding their time. And Keeger trapped herself in the lane, and good defense on Mahtomedi there. There was really nothing to hang your head about.
Right, really great effort trying to find some seams to cut into, but Mahtomedi is not leaving anything open.
And sometimes the defense just gets the better of you. No shame in that.
Yeah, and while your offense is trying to find its place, your defense is locking them down. That can prevent you from getting into a deficit here.
The key for Mahtomedi will be to find some offense outside of Emma Grothaus.
Absolutely.
She has all 6 of their points. And Gustafson won't be able to add to that total for now. Keeger chasing down the rebound. Go ahead.
It was a good open look.
Well, that's a shot that you would take. And I'm sure she'll take again if she has the chance. Jordahl. Not going to get to the lane this time. She was cut off by Hogan. So Mahtomedi more mindful of Jordahl after she beat them once. Blodgett for 3. Bullseye.
And you're going to have to adjust to her because she can stroke that 3 very easily. One thing that's really impressive, Mike, is the crowd noise here. This is a loud gym.
And that crowd noise could amplify after Grothaus came up strong on the rebound or layup attempt, and Woodbury having a chance to pad their lead here. Keeger, spin move. Cannot get the bounce. Gustafson with the rebound. Quick moving game. We've had a few fouls, but Neither team in a hurry to push the ball.
Yeah, it's good to see the whistles take a break.
Grothaus driving, gets the bounce.
That was a beautiful drive.
She's up to 8, which is also Mahtomedi's total. Keeger out to Blodgett, deep 3. Bullseye once more. So far, that practice of hers seems to be a premonition.
Yeah, she looks good. She looked good before, and she looks good now.
Blodgett averaging just 4.3. She's already matched her season high, and hitting the elbow J is Annika Sogstad. She averages nearly 14 a game. 5:50 remaining in the first period. But you know it better as the first half. That was an old school NBA reference.
Yes.
Remember when they used to call quarters periods? Even though everyone knew it was quarters. Keeger weaves through and finds an open lane.
She got past her defender.
One thing's for sure, I'm going to have her navigate traffic the next time I'm out on the roads. She knows how to get through.
That's a great idea.
Although traffic nowhere near like it was this past weekend.
Thank goodness.
It helps when it's upper 30s like it was today. Balmy.
Nice steal.
And Jordahl rips the pass away. Woodbury on the run. She's cut off, but Am Hussein too strong. Comes up with a rebound. Another rebound tips in her direction. Long 2. That's also strong. And Mahtomedi, 3-on-1. Sogstad, the bounce. Marissa Gustafson too strong, and those are chances you got to convert.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful pass.
Mahtomedi not having many fast break opportunities, so you got to make it the ones that do go through. And Rachel Hakes attacks the lane and scores. Woodbury finding a lot of openings on drives, and Eric Prose has had enough of it. He's going to call timeout. While we've seen contrasting styles between the two teams, they both share something in common. Both are very active with their youth communities. With Woodbury, it's the Woodbury Athletic Association. Mahtomedi, they call their program Adopt a Zephyr. But in both instances, the teams will host clinics and do some other mentorship activities with members of the traveling teams. You saw the Woodbury youth team greet the starters for tonight's game. And assistant coach Angie Heldstab for Woodbury said her players often choose to attend youth games even if they don't make them. So you can imagine how many required games they have to go attend. Probably not many because they just go on their own.
I love to see that happen because you show the youth that you're invested in them. You develop a partnership. That builds a program. That is so lacking in so many communities, and it's just wonderful to see. And the Adopt a Zephyr program, to have like a player from the varsity team come to your practice, help you out, those kind of things are just amazing. I just love to see that.
And here's another similarity. Last year, Woodbury won the Academic State Gold Award for Team GPA. And Eric Prose said it's not uncommon for his team or his players to have a GPA of 3.5 or above.
That is great stuff.
You got that regularly in high school, didn't you?
I love student athletes. I love putting the student in student athletes.
I'm just saying, you got 3.5 regularly?
Of course. Didn't you?
Yes. I made National Honor Society.
I didn't play varsity basketball, though, I can tell you that.
Oh, and I wasn't good enough for it. I'm happy to watch and share the stories of these fine, talented, gifted athletes. Foul, and it's going to go against Woodbury. Go ahead.
You get an A+ in that category, Mike.
That's what I strive for, what I call these games. Every story Every story I file for Minnesota Prep Spotlight, every game I cover for them, for Town Square, or for any other operation, I always strive for A+. I got an A- once. That was the peak of my career. Mahtomedi turns it over. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first half. Woodbury up 21-10. And that's going to be a foul on Grothaus. So Grothaus picking up her second. And that will send Rachel Hakes to the line for 2.
I think they called the foul before it got to Grothaus.
You're right, it was on Hogan. It's tough to tell sometimes from here.
Yeah, I thought Grothaus had a great block, but her teammate had already fouled that shooter.
In any event, that's Hogan's second. Hakes, considered the coach on the floor, great off the dribble, a very patient persona, and has logged a ton of varsity minutes in a 3-year span. Makes both free throws.
And based on the cheering during the parent night recognition, also very popular with the fans here in Woodbury.
And she's a junior, so she'll be back to lead this team next year. 3 minutes remain, and Woodbury up by 13 over the number 3 team in Class 3A. Grothaus going up. Nice defense on Woodbury. They've been shutting her down for the most part. Mameidi getting a couple more O-boards, and it will stay with the Zephyrs. And that's going to be the key for the remainder of this half and the second half. If any of the other Zephyrs can get going, Woodbury will have to respect that.
I completely agree. And they also started passing the ball pretty well there. That's going to also be important to get people going.
Well, there's an open shot, and Saug-Stan can't put it in.
I like Grothaus finding her teammate, though, out on the wing to hit that shot. That's good basketball.
Jump ball, and Woodbury with the arrow.
A couple of those deep shots go in, and then the inside's going to open up, and that's going to be critical to get this Mahtomedi team back into this game.
And all it takes is one in the sport of basketball.
Yeah, at this point, I haven't seen Mahtomedi find their rhythm, so if they can find that rhythm, we can really see this game get more exciting.
And a foul on the Zephyrs. They are in the penalty. So Jordahl going to the line for 1-1. And that foul charged to Grothaus. So Grothaus and Hogan, the 2 post players, have a pair of fouls here. But an empty possession as Jordahl can't get the front end of a 1-1. Chance for Mahtomedi here to get some momentum. Celia Underwood, number 30 on the floor for the Zephyrs. And there's a way to get some momentum. Maggie Frecking has a chance for a 3-point play. There are 2 Freckings and 2 Underwoods for Mahtomedi. They're all soccer athletes as well as basketball players, and all have very quick feet. And you saw that with the 3-point play that Frecking just converted. So let's see if that gets Mahtomedi out of their offensive doldrums. Entry fee. Nobody was guarding Keeger, and an easy layup. Keeger exploited the back door.
Yeah, she snuck behind the defense there. They were kind of basically guarding the 3-point line.
She put her hands in the cookie jar and got away with it. Mahtomedi throws it away. Ellie Krybeck was blocked initially, followed through with it, and puts back her own miss. Strong defense by E. Farrell, but a slightly stronger offensive stance there on Krybeck's end. She has 7. And Woodbury bringing the pressure. That forces a jump. And the Zephyrs have the arrow, but Woodbury's pressure defense has been quite impressive in the first half.
Very impressive. And you mentioned soccer. It looked like for the last couple of plays, both teams are running a high line, allowing their players to cut down low. It's interesting that both teams decided to go that strategy at the same time. You can see it happening right here. Pretty much everyone high, one person down low.
And I'm not sure if you can hear the cheers, but they're coming from the youth team. They're stomping their feet on the bleachers on the far side.
That's a beautiful thing.
They're bringing the noise.
Oh.
And maybe that had something to do with the passing miscue.
I think they're just trying to find the opening and not watching the ball land into your hands while you're trying to find your teammates. It's just not flowing yet for Mahtomedi.
Woodbury will likely hold for the final shot. Woodbury not in the top 10 in their class, but remember they did knock off an Apple Valley team. And if they can parlay this first half into the second half, this would go a long way into bringing them some recognition. Keeger cannot finish the drive. And the first half comes to an end. But Woodbury bringing an astute defense, and they lead 27-13 over Mahtomedi.
They have to be very happy with that first half.
And for Mameidi, how do you rebound and try to get back in this?
I don't think we've seen what they want to do yet. So if they can figure out how to get that moving, that'll be the difference for them. At this point, they just look like they haven't found their rhythm.
So that brings us to halftime. We'll show you some footage from the parent night ceremony that took place prior to tip-off, and then come back with first half stats and analysis. You're watching high school girls basketball from Woodbury High School.
Now for our seniors. Senior number 2, Cam Bingbas. With Peden Justin Bingbas. Senior number 11, Elizabeth Jordan, with Ryan and Diane Jordan. Next we have senior captain number 21, Cece Keeger, with Peden Michelle Keeger. And to round out our seniors, number 23, Ellie Krybeck. With Terry and Denise Krybeck. Ellie is also team captain. Let's hear for all of our parents. Our coaches and players, thank you for all of your hard work, dedication to our student athletes. Thank you for your past, present, and future support.
And we welcome you back to Woodbury High School in the battle for Washington County, the non-conference edition. Mike Peden and Don Ackerman here. Woodbury and Mahtomedi is squaring off, and the Woodbury Royals have a 14-point lead over the number 3 team in Class 3A, 27-13. And taking a look at the numbers, Emma Grothaus is the leading scorer with 8 points for the Zephyrs, but Maggie Frecking has 3, Annika Sogset has 2. So everyone outside of Grothaus with just 5 points.
And interesting that Grothaus had the first 8 points of the game and hasn't scored since.
And in Woodbury's case, 2 7s, a 6, and a 4 are your notables. CC Keeker and Ellie Krybik have 7. Maren Blodgett has a pair of triples. And we have to restart the second half. The clock started prematurely, and the officials are going to wait until it reads 18 because we play with 18-minute halves, no less. And Woodbury knocking down threes everywhere. Ellie Krybik gets in on the action. Sogstad over to Hogan. And Hogan draws the foul. But Mahtomedi has got to find some offense, and they need to find it soon, or they run the risk of getting run out of the building.
And Woodbury showing diversity in their scoring, which will be harder to defend.
Krybik, our first double-digit score. Mahtomedi kicks out. That's a tough layup, but it goes in for Samantha Hogan. That's her first field goal. It was close early, but Woodbury has dominated since. No fear on Jordal's part. She posts up on Grothaus, lunges over her head for the layup. Grothaus, Euro step, cannot get the finish. And look at that. 4 Woodbury players surround Grothaus to make sure she doesn't get a clean rebound in.
And this second half starts the way we kind of thought the first half is, with some explosion and some inside-outside action. Maybe we can get a good game going here.
Michael Bay would appreciate this Woodbury team. Maybe he can get them in the next Transformers movie. Sogstad, baseline J is strong. And getting in there for the rebound is Hakes. Woodbury looking for a transition. Now they back off. This is certainly a different look than the last time I covered these Woodbury Royals, and that was back on this very day in 2007. They had a much different team back then. Missing the runner was Jordal. Jump ball, Woodbury with the arrow. Woodbury teams under Dave Preller. Very slow, deliberate, patient style of offense. Possessions would easily run over a minute. Actually, the jump ball went to Mahtomedi because Woodbury touched it first. Or, yes, Woodbury started the second half with possession. That's the common miscue or mix-up. Sogstad still can't find a basket. And Woodbury definitely has the arrow this time.
Great drive. Good rebounding. And in this case, we had 2 good tie-ups where the players should have gotten the rebound, but the defense was able to intervene.
Sogstad averaging just under 14 points a game. But without her support, you see just how difficult it's been for Mahtomedi to operate efficiently. Keeger lost it. Hakes is there to recover. Keeger resetting. Veenbos tries to squeeze through the hole. Sogstad pokes her away, and she's fouled from behind, I believe, by Jordal. And that is the case. Maren Blodgett returns to the floor. And if Woodbury can keep this up, not just in this game, but moving on the rest of the season, we know they have a tough schedule. They could make a very entertaining and exhausting battle to get to the state tournament. As Woodbury gets possession.
Yeah,
and here's why. Oh, go ahead.
At this point, they look like they're up to the challenge, too. of that schedule.
Well, they're in a position to threaten some of the established powers in that group. Eastridge and White Bear Lake have been the front runners over the last few years, and don't count out Cretin-Durham Hall. They're a top 10 school in 4A. So as it stands right now, you could have 3 or 4 as Keeger scores the lay-in. 3 or 4 schools with a legitimate chance of getting out of that section. And that's a reach-in foul on Grothaus. And this game slowly getting out of Mahtomedi's grasp. 34-15.
Falls on Roadhouse. First second foul.
This is a Woodbury team that finished roughly 4 games under 500 last year, if my stats and research are correct. And Mahtomedi going through a resurgence themselves. And Grothaus suffered an injury last year. Zephyrs struggled. They weren't a factor in the Section 3 3A playoffs. And even if they don't win this game, they're going to be a front runner to find their way in state. As Samantha Hogan is tagged with a foul. And some of their Zephyrs have state tournament experience.
Yeah, I'd like to see them get into a groove here. Just because it's fun to watch good basketball.
They were certainly in a groove when they played Maranatha. They were able to keep up with the brisk pace that the Mustangs like to employ. And Maranatha, or I should say Mahtomedi, getting hit with some quick fouls here in the second half. Maggie Frecking picks up her second. Krivik posts up on Gustafson.
I don't know how that ball got through.
And Ellie Krivik has a new season high. Grothaus is blocked. I believe that was Krivik. So Krivik doing everything tonight for the Royals. And that's a foul on Grothaus. That's her third. 13:46 left, and as Hakes goes to the line for 2. Both teams are talented, but I did not expect anything like this.
No, I'm kind of speechless.
And Mahtomedi, the number 3 team in 3A, and they're certainly going to be the favorite to get out of their section this year. Mahtomedi certainly has the talent, and they've demonstrated as much in their 4-game winning streak to start the season. But
well, with Grothaus and 3 fouls, we might get to see those teammates if they got to sub her, if they decide to sub her out.
Krivik again. This time she blocks Eve Farrell. Krivik once more. She's doing everything. She can't be stopped.
No, and doing it all through contact, too.
Where did Ellie Krivik come from? Grothaus posts up and scores. Eric Rose is going to call another timeout. 40-17.
Beautiful spin move by Grothaus, but this score is just unbelievable.
You're speechless. I have no words for this score. But this happens sometimes in basketball. You just run into a matchup that doesn't favor you. And that can happen at any level.
Yeah, and there are just some nights where it just doesn't flow. And
Annika Sogstad, for example. She's had a few open looks. Can't put them in.
yeah, that's amazing.
That being said, Mahtomedi will have plenty of chances to showcase their strength, and they have plenty of might to go around. So do not let this game deceive you in any way. This is a strong team. They're just ran into the wall. That's Ellie Krybeck for the Royals, among other players. Mahtomedi will face another notable test on January 3rd when they go to face Como Park, the team that got into state from that section last year. And that game could prove very telling. Wienbas, long two, goes in. Why not? Everything else is.
Yeah, it's definitely Woodbury's net so far.
It's not just Blodgett making all the jumpers. Nice ball movement from Mahtomedi. And Samantha Hogan gets her second field goal. Keeger used up the dribble and puts in a one-handed floater. Because that's exactly how they drew it up. Krybeck once more. Her defense in the post, extraordinary tonight.
Yeah, they're not even really getting a good shot up.
Anything down low, Krybeck is there for the stop. Amazing. Cassidy Mackey, number 10, and she joins her Woodbury teammates on the score sheet.
Mahtomedi really needed that steal to get this game turned around.
Woodbury's field goal percentage, easily a season high if this keeps up. Hogan, Hero Steppen will shoot two. We mentioned the Mahtomedi players with state tournament experience. Marissa Gustafson is one of them, number 21.
Her second foul, 13 foul Royals. Hogan at the line, shooting two.
I take that back, Annika Sogstad. Gustafson does play volleyball, though, when she's not playing basketball. Annika Sogstad was a part of the state tennis championship team. The first championship in school history in that sport for the Zephyrs. And that's a group that also includes Olivia Paradise, who is the granddaughter of Herb Brooks. Hogan missing both free throws, but Mahtomedi will keep it on the arrow. So the family tree of Herb Brooks still producing championships. And Mahtomedi hoping to join their tennis brethren at some point, although the way this game is going, they might want to put this one out of their memory as quickly as possible.
Well, it looks like Hogan might be the answer to the question, how do you turn this game around? So far, she's been playing much better in the second half and giving them opportunities.
And she, along with Eve Farrell, are a pair of post players that pros said not a lot of folks talk about. They're quiet contributors. And he really appreciates the mental and physical toughness that they bring. It may not be evident tonight, but if you base Mahtomedi's potential off of this one game, you're doing yourself a disservice.
She's shown some good moments, like just there with that turnaround, foul, collecting move. I could see more coming out of her, and they might need her tonight.
And if not tonight, they certainly will appreciate her efforts in future games. Three doesn't go in, but shooting 3 free throws will be Jordal after Josie Underwood collided with her after the shot. Woodbury 8 of 11 from the free throw line thus far.
Great aggressive move, but she got there way too late.
Gustafson checks in for the Zephyrs. Almost.
This is the Woodbury team that prides themselves on working hard, excelling in the fundamentals. Not a lot of drama with this team. And if they can continue this performance as the season moves along, they will only become more confident. Jordan makes 2 of 3. Woodbury up by 28. All I have to say is, how is this Woodbury team not in the top 10? The Forest Lake loss might hurt those odds, but they keep this up. Who knows what they could do, not only in the Suburban East, but throughout the conference.
There's a lot of talent in black tonight. They've shown good defense. They've shown good outside shooting.
And they're not afraid to go up against the towers that are Emma Grothaus and Samantha Hogan.
Right, they've kept their composure the whole time.
Mackey for 3. That rims out. Grothaus. Good close-in defense by Woodbury there. One of the players lost a headband. Not sure who that is.
Ooh.
Look out.
Okay, everybody's okay.
Beamboss hit the deck. And someone's got to pick up a headband down there. No one's noticed. There's a blue headband or blue accessory of some kind right where it says home of the Royals, in the venue referred to as the Lion's Den, a reference to the lion that makes up Woodbury's logo. And now they pick up the accessory. Always find it amusing, schools and teams that call themselves the Royals and have a mascot as a lion. Mackey, runner is strong. The foul is called. It's the last one Woodbury has to give, but leading by 28 with 8:51 to play. Won't be much of a concern at this point.
Calls on Mackey for first. 16 foul Royals.
Some other multi-sport athletes for the Zephyrs. We mentioned Gustafson, who plays volleyball. E. Farrell is on the cross-country team. And Eric Prose strongly advocates participating in multiple sports for his players. And there are several reasons for that. He feels it helps them get in better shape. Woodbury tried to get a fast break in there, but turning it over was Hannah Premer. But playing in multiple sports, it helps you stay in shape in an overall sense, and it also helps you avoid burnout.
Yeah, it helps develop the entire body because you use different muscles to play different sports.
And on top of that, playing sports outside of your stronghold, in this case basketball for most of these athletes, gives your mind something else to focus on. There have been a couple of athletes who chose to specialize, but most enjoyed the opportunity to compete in as many events as they can. And in the case of some students, like Annika Sogstad, you end up winning a state championship that way.
Underwood shooting 1-1.
She couldn't collect the rebound with one hand there. She kind of wanted the foul for being pushed. There's been a lot of physical activity going on in this game that's being uncalled after initially lots of fouls being called. So it's interesting. I think the players are trying to adjust.
Mahtomedi looking to push here. Ooh. Maggie Frecking picks up the foul. I was going to say, Woodbury will go to the line here for 1-1. You and I might have to check out a few more Woodbury games after this.
Absolutely. They look like a great team.
And I'll likely get a few chances covering a lot of Suburban East games for PretSpotlight.tv.
Courthouse checks in for the Zephyrs. Enter the game for the Royals. Number 33, Katie Baskey.
But there aren't many complaints if you're a Woodbury fan with the start they're having this year, even with the loss to Forest Lake.
They look strong across the board, too. As the subs come in, they seem to still keep the pace and the talents there. Ooh.
The fouls are picking up a little more. And I have to take a seat so I can get some of these new names and numbers in.
Calls on Aaron Blanchard for first foul. Sosner's at the line, shooting 1-1.
And Sogstad lost her balance and jumped across the line, so that free throw will not count.
Jordahl checks in for the Royals.
Katie Vasky and Hannah Pramer are back on the floor for the Royals. Amu Hussein is blocked. Grothaus couldn't recover in time. And like you said, scored the first 8 points of this game. Hasn't scored a single point since.
Wow. She's made some great moves to the hoop, including that last one, but it just seems like it's not her night.
We mentioned Mahtomedi's upcoming game with Como Park that will have high influence on section seating as Blodgett joins the block party.
Como Park's a pretty quick team, so they'll put this Woodbury defense to the test.
So in addition to Como Park, Mahtomedi will take place or participate in a Hill Murray tournament for the holiday break. And a lot of folks are expecting the championship match of that 8-team bracket to be Mahtomedi and Holy Angels, the defending 3A state champions.
Great block by Blodgett there. And Mahtomedi still just has not found a rhythm.
And that's what a superb defense can do in the case of Woodbury. We're in their third year of the Megan Kirchenwitz era. Foul on Sogstad. Kirchenwitz has plenty of credentials of her own. Played for Concordia St. Paul in her college days. The school that wins all the volleyball titles in D2 now. They picked up another one recently. As we get to stat padding time, if anyone has overlooked this Woodbury team before, this game may give them pause.
Oh, wow.
Case in point, the putback basket there. So Hussein gets on the board. Sogstad finally gets one to drop. But it just wasn't her night tonight.
Nice find by Grothaus, sorry.
And for those who may be wondering if Mahtomedi isn't as potent as the rankings would make them out to be, I mean, I presume if you were to have another matchup between these two, it won't happen because they're in separate classes. I don't think we'd have a 29-point difference. Woodbury might still be in front, but do not discount the Zephyrs over this one game.
That play just shows how it's really going Woodbury's way.
It's tough to stop balance, and Woodbury has plenty of it. Krybeck with 14 points, Krieger with 11, Hakes has 8 now. And this win will certainly make their holiday break a little more festive.
Woodbury's defense forces another turnover.
Josie Underwood lost her footing, leading into the traveling violation.
If that shot went in, that would have just...
If that shot went in, that would have been it. I would have gone home. I'd have lived too far from here.
That would have just showed you how much it is not Mahtomedi's night.
And we mentioned the parity in Section 4-4A. We're going to get a very in-depth look at what could play out. As Grothaus was fouled. Because Woodbury, Cretan, Eastridge, White Bear Lake, Roseville's having a strong start. They're all in the Suburban East Conference, so they all get to play each other twice.
Ashley checks in for the Royals.
So as much as we like to show our fondness for the West Metro schools, Hopkins and Park Center, Minnetonka, the East Metro has plenty of talent.
It's shaping up to be a great year of women's hoops.
Hopkins is still the favorite, don't get me wrong, but I would implore you to come out east and check out some of the talent we've got out here. Sogstad with the steal. For Sogstad, it might feel like she's having another game against Grothaus, akin to their AAU days, and the Woodbury youth players are still stomping their feet on Mahtomedi possessions, even with the game well in hand.
And it's just not happening for Mahtomedi today.
And how do you bounce back from a game? Well, there's one way. Marissa Gustafson with the poke. And a microcosm of their evening. You know it's rough when a wide open basket can't get in.
But it does not belie their effort. They're definitely trying. The defense has been, I think, pretty good. Woodbury's just been able to take advantage of every opportunity that's gone their way.
And there was a period in the second half, those first 9 minutes or so, where they could not miss.
Mm-hmm.
And at any level, the points per 100 possessions is the metric often used, and the more field goals you give up, the harder it is to keep up.
And Mahtomedi has not had a stretch like that.
It was close early on, but you're right. Woodbury had all the runs. And if you follow the mantra that basketball is a game of runs, well, if one team gets the ball, it results in a lopsided score. Fortunately, it's early in the season for both teams, and Mahtomedi will have a game in 2 days going to Blaine, so they'll have a chance to put this one away quickly and rebound.
Grouchson picks up the foul.
That's your fourth, inconsequential at this point. And a player we didn't see much of, but could prove to be crucial as the season moves along. Maren Blodgett. I don't know if she'll hit three-pointers at the clip she was in warm-ups and in the game tonight, but that's an intangible that's difficult to account for.
I've got a star next to her name. Keep an eye on her.
Basket with the steal. Everybody crashing the rim for Woodbury. And Peyton Hurdle gets on the board. We're approaching mercy rule range.
I'm happy to see her get that bucket because she had 2 awesome rebounds in that JV game that sealed the victory for Woodbury.
A victory they had to sweat out in overtime. Sogstad finally gets a jumper to sink. More free throws coming. And that will disqualify Maggie Frecking as she picks up her 5th. So the moral of the story, if there is one, don't discount either of these teams. Well, some folks might look at that Forest Lake loss and flinch a little bit if you're a Woodbury follower, and if you're a Mahtomedi, you certainly aren't going to remember this game with fond memories. But there are plenty of more games ahead. They haven't started Metro East Conference competition yet, so a lot of chances to bounce back.
Number 14, into the game, Harley West for the Royals.
And for those of you who like to root for the little guys or the supporting players, as they're often referred to in films, Katie Vasky has scored her first points in varsity this season. She's a perfect 4-4 from the free throw line.
Congratulations.
And Peyton Hurdle and Cassidy Mackey also scoring their first points in varsity competition. And that's always cool to see. Katie Vasky, a 5'7" sophomore.
Yeah, there were a lot of practices and a lot of playing basketball leading up to those 2 points.
So Vasky showing her marksmanship from the free throw line. And you're right. The players that maybe score a point or two in stat padding time, they put in a lot of work in JV games and practice. To use the term sacrificial lamb would be a bit of a reach. But most of these players, I imagine, have a grip on things, know that they're not going to be starting or averaging 30 minutes a night or scoring 25 points a game.
But we're here to celebrate those first points. Congratulations. We've got it on tape.
And not just for Woodbury, but for Mahtomedi as well. They know that they usually come in when the score is lopsided like tonight. But their work should not be ignored for that reason. Because if it wasn't for their efforts...
This is their chance to get on the board and start their career.
And if not for their contributions, the big players wouldn't get any better themselves. You need some in-house competition. And Hannah Premer gets her first points of the 2016-17 season. Played in 3 games, had not scored. So 4 Woodbury players will now have point totals next to their name.
Calls on Gruber for a 3rd foul.
And a player looking to do just that is Callie McGauley for the Zephyrs. She had 2 points earlier this season. Carly West, number 14, seeing some time now. West, another JV player. Well, Don, you want to make another appointment to Woodbury later this season?
I want to see how yes, absolutely. I'd also like to see Mameidi when they're on their game. It's just not their night, but Woodbury's definitely showing a lot of promise.
Well, Como Park might be an opportunity. And in the Metro East, they figure to be the front runners in that conference, but you have a solid team in Simley. Hill Murray can always give you a challenge. Hastings has proven to be an upset card throughout the years. Who's getting on the board is Anna Lindberg. And that is her first point of 2016-17. Coming up short there was Hannah Premer.
I'm just really surprised by how lopsided this game has been. I think the JV game that we got to see before this was a great game. I was really expecting to see that happen again, but
usually JV doesn't translate to varsity, but when you looked at the matchup, when you looked at this matchup, Mahtomedi number 3 in 3A, Woodbury a team on the rise, you're thinking this should be a fun, close game.
Right.
Woodbury snuffed that out with their stellar defense. Let's be clear on that. Mahtomedi is not an overmatched team. Woodbury was simply the better team today.
Yes.
But it is reasonable to believe that both of these teams could end up in the state tournament bracket. Mahtomedi in 3A, Woodbury in 4A. Mahtomedi has the easier path, one would presume. But the bevy of teams that could get out of Section 4-4A is the reason why Megan Kirchenwitz and her crew put together a schedule as tough as it is. McGauley getting on the board tonight. Edina should be a fun one. They're a top 10 team in 4A. Hopkins is always the standard bearer. And Park Center, a solid group. And all-out domination. Mahtomedi will suffer their first loss of the season. And Peyton Herta will not put an exclamation point. But it wasn't necessary. There were plenty to go around as they pick up a 61-30 win. They go to 3-1 in the season. Mahtomedi falls to 4-1. Don is still speechless, folks.
The 4th and 5th graders who came and performed at halftime for Woodbury, the youth program, they're very happy. They got to see a great game by their varsity club.
And Mahtomedi, brighter times are ahead. It could come as soon as Thursday, but remember, these are two teams we both could see in the state tournament. They both have a lot of talent. So both have plenty to celebrate, and both have plenty of reasons to be celebrated. But it's Woodbury who won the day tonight. We'll try to get a word with a player or two from the Royals and wrap things up here from the Lions Den. You're watching high school girls basketball. Woodbury beats Mahtomedi 61-30. And I'm joined by Ellie Krybeck of the Woodbury Royals. Ellie, you had 14 points, and you stepped up in a lot of other ways tonight, especially down low. You shut down all of Mahtomedi's post options, and you weren't afraid to get in there for a few blocks.
Yeah, I think as a team, our defense was really solid tonight. We held them to like 30 points. Like, we were just solid. We were talking the whole time. So every possession counted, so yeah. And
you had about a week to bounce back from the loss to Forest Lake, so how satisfying is it to pick up a runaway win after an upset loss a week ago?
It feels really great. Our game versus Forest Lake, we weren't really playing as a team, and tonight it felt like we were a team, so it felt really great.
So through 4 games, you knocked off a top 10 team in Apple Valley in 4A. You knock off the number 3 team in 3A, Mahtomedi. What will this do for confidence and just the wherewithal and just optimism for this team moving ahead?
I think it's really good for us. We just have to play our best as a team and beat even our like conference games like Eastridge and Cretan. They'll be tough this year, so we just got to keep going with our momentum.
And that's a good segue because for the last few years, you've been overshadowed by the likes of White Bear Lake and Eastridge, and all of you in the same conference, in the same section. And there's a long way to go before we worry about section playoffs this year. But what have the first few games of the season done to communicate to the Suburban East and to the Section 4 group that Woodbury is ready to tango?
For sure, Apple Valley. That was like Woodbury is noticed. And then this game tonight, too, it's like we beat them by 30, so we're going to be a tough team. Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just you tonight. You had a lot of help. CC Keeger getting 11 points, and then you got a couple of threes from Blodgett, who was knocking them all down in warm-ups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of us we played really great tonight. All of us were scoring. So it's pretty even, like every night. We always have like a couple in the double digits, but it's been pretty even so far, so that's good.
And how will you try to establish more consistency moving forward? I know the Forest Lake loss probably stings a bit, but you've got a lot of tough opponents ahead, and then you've got a treacherous Suburban East Conference after that.
I think it all starts in practice. Like, we had a really good practice. Well, the last few practices have been pretty good, so that'll keep our momentum going if we keep our practices tough.
And there are 4 more shopping days until Christmas. Have you completed your list yet?
No.
Are there any last-minute requests you want to get out there?
I don't know.
What are your holiday plans? Because I know you'll get a week off before taking part in the Roseville tournament. So what will the team be doing, and how nice will it be to get a little time off?
So we have practice the next 2 days, and then we'll have 3 days off, and then we'll have practice again. But, yeah, I think we might do some team bonding, like next week maybe.
Secret Santa?
Yeah, we do Secret Santa.
Yeah. Do you have any? So, do you know like what you get, or did you put in any?
No, we have no idea. Yeah.
So you're going to be completely surprised in both recipient and gift.
Yep.
And is there anyone you want to say hi to that isn't watching this interview?
Hi, Mom.
Always got to say hello to your mother. Well, enjoyed this win. Have a Merry Christmas. And for those of you who don't celebrate, we certainly hope you enjoy the holidays. And I know they'll be a little bit more festive after a 31-point win.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Ellie Krybeck of the Woodbury Royals. And that wraps up our coverage from here. For our entire crew, I'm Mike Peden. Thank you for watching high school girls basketball.